Hey everybody, I'm Bennett Shear, and this is American Idol Unaired. Now, we're talking to the singers you didn't see on season 20 of American Idol, and this week's singer that you didn't see is Jenna Marquis. Jenna, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, it's so great to have you. Now, unfortunately, we did not get to see you on this season of American Idol, but we're going to get to know you today, and we are going to get to hear all about your Idol experience. So, before we do that, I would love to get to know more about you as an artist and what got you into music.
Honestly, I think growing up, it was always something that I really just loved and had such a passion for. I love playing keys and like a little bit of guitar, and I really fell in love with just really all aspects of music. My dad, he was just kind of like very musical family. His brother was signed with RCA Records,
Mm.
and he was in a band called Kick Tracy, which was kind of like 80s 90s like rock band. So they've always just kind of grew up and loved music, and I think my dad definitely passed that down to me for sure.
Hmm.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of my musical influence definitely comes from my dad and growing up with a musical family.
As far as Idol goes, I mean, I'm guessing was this like a dream? Like, I mean, I'm sure I'm sure you've watched the show, and we've all every artist has seen it and been like, one day, I'm gonna end up there.
Yeah, for sure. I like would be 3 years old, 4 years old, and I'd be like, I'm gonna do that, mom. I'm gonna win. Like, watch. She was like,
Yes.
okay. And like my parents never knew I could like really like sing. I always loved doing it, but I don't know. I guess they didn't really think it was anything serious until I was probably like 13 or 14 when I would start really writing my own music and showing them and being like, okay, and like learning how to play piano on my like all by myself and kind of just doing it and like just found a real passion for it. But I definitely always wanted to try out, and it was just a really cool experience to be able to actually like get that golden ticket and like be able to have that like and just like be there. It was so cool.
I'd love to go back to the beginning as far as how you got involved with the show, whether or not you were approached, if you tried out yourself. How did that happen?
Okay, so Audrey Pinewright was the one who had seen videos of me singing, or someone told her that I was a singer and she needed to reach out to me. So she had reached out to me and was kind of like, "Hi, I'm Audrey from American Idol," and I was like, "What?" Like, okay. I was kind of confused because I didn't really know a whole lot of anything that was going on. And she was like, "I'd love for you to like send me over some videos," and I was like, "Okay." So I had grabbed my older brother and we went down to my garage and I like set up an amp and I was like, okay, like I have to sound good. Like I want it to be like, good mic and stuff. So I set up the mic and he like took like videos. I'm like, no, that angle's bad. Like we got to make this look like professional. And I was like so nervous. And I sent like probably two or three videos of me singing different songs. She was like, oh my gosh, like I love that. And I was like, oh my God, yay. And then she ended up sending me over to Peter Cohen, the head of casting of American Idol. And I love to sing like ballad slow songs. I think that that's always kind of been my thing, but I have a very bubbly personality and I like to talk a lot. And so when I went on the Zoom call with Peter and Audrey, Peter was like, "You're singing all these sad songs, but you seem like so happy." And I was like, "Yeah, like I don't know." And he's like, "I want to hear you sing like some like happy like pop stuff. I feel like that would like suit your voice well." So I went on probably like three Zooms with Peter before I was sent to executive producers, which is generally like how that works. But I got to skip like a few of the levels because I knew Audrey, which was really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I sang like Tori Kelly and I was singing Adele, and he was like, I think Tori Kelly like type of stuff would be really good for you, and like kind of gave me a good like, you know, kind of just like a push of a direction that you know, ended up working pretty well for me. Um, so I planned on originally singing for the executive producers like a Tori Kelly, Nobody Love. I like love that song. And she was someone that I was so inspired to be like. I always thought she was amazing. So yeah, I got sent to the executives and like through the executive producers, it's like Megan, the showrunner, and then one of the like there's just a few different people that are on that Zoom. And I was like in there in my garage and I was mortified. And I was like, okay, I'm using a mic. Like my mom was sitting in there with me. And I'm like, okay, I find out today, like if I'm gonna like go through the judges, like that's crazy. And I like had thought of a few songs that like I was like maybe gonna sing. And then I was like, no, I don't want to sing those. And I was like going back and forth. And like literally an hour before, I was like, okay, I'm set on these 3 songs. And I sang Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes, Somebody to Love, Queen, one of my favorites to sing ever, and then Nobody Loved by Tori Kelly. And they had me sing 2 of them. They had me sing Nobody Loved, no. They had me sing Nobody Loved the time before. I'm like trying to figure out the time sequence. They had me sing Somebody to Love, and then Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes. And then I was like kind of sitting there and it was scary. And they were like, so Jenna, like, who's your favorite judge? And I was like, we're like Katy Perry. Like, I sound, you know, kind of basic, but I was like, she's like amazing. And I think that, you know, that the fact that she was able to change like pop music and put her own twist on absolutely everything is so inspiring to me. And she was not afraid to just be her. I think that's really cool. And she was like, well, like, we're gonna let you sing in front of Katy Perry. And I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, like how cool. And I got off the Zoom. I was like sitting there with my mom and we were freaking out. And they were like, okay, so you live in like LA area. We'll send you the LA audition. And I got on that Zoom. It was probably mid-September. And then the actual LA audition was mid-October. So I had like a month to kind of prep. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to like sing? Like, what am I going to do? Like, I have no idea. Like, what path do I want to go on? How do I want to portray myself? And I kind of ended up just like calling Audrey, because Audrey was kind of helping me throughout the whole thing, and talked to Peter. And I was like, okay, what do you think I should sing? Like, what would be good? And they were like, okay, like we need to kind of meet up and like figure this out. So I met Audrey in real life, and she like had helped me a lot through this whole process. It was really cool. And we were like talking about songs, and I was like thinking about this song that I really liked, just like songs that I really liked. And I didn't want to do anything by female artists so that I wouldn't be like compared to like any female artists. I kind of wanted to like do my own thing and put my own twist on like male artists, or make like a really weird version if it was a female artist. So I was like, okay, thinking about like all of my favorite like male artists that I like to listen to. And I was like, I love Rule, like so good. I don't know if you know who that is. He's like from Australia. Mm-hmm. He's super talented. He's like my age, 18 or 19. And I found like one of his hit songs, Painkiller, which I like love. And I was like, oh my gosh, I like love this song. I want to do it. And so we made a whole arrangement. I made an arrangement with like a piano guy, kind of like sent in tracks. That was like my first song that I wanted to do. And then my second song was Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes, that I was going to use as like my backup song, because you're supposed to have like 2 or 3 prepared. So I was like, okay, like I'm going to do those 2. And that was like my plan. I had been working, you know, perfecting those songs for a good month. And I got to like actual, like the auditions. And it was crazy. I like went into a room and there was a bunch of like producers, and I was supposed to like sing my songs that I was like supposed to do. And they were like, yeah, we don't, like, I feel like you should not sing those songs. And these are songs, Money, that I've been practicing for literally the last month. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm totally the type of person that I'm like, I need to be prepared. So I was mortified. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, I think you should sing JB. And I was like, I mean, we love JB, yeah. But like, what am I supposed to sing by JB? And they're like, you sang Holy in one of your auditions, which I sing a lot, which is Holy by Justin Bieber. And I was like, okay, I just like felt like, I don't know if that's like really a singing song, like that shows like my range, like, I don't know. And I was super nervous, and they changed that the day before my audition. And they're like, we want you to do Life of the Party. Like it would be your second song. So I was like, oh God. I got out of the room. I was sitting with my mom. I was able to bring her because I was 17 at the time. So like, minor, you can bring your mom. And I was like freaking out. I was like, I have a day. Like, I don't even know like the words to Holy. Like, I don't remember it. And I'm like, I was just freaking out. And so Fredley, that's the piano player, kind of helped me out. And he was like, okay, like I'll send you an exact arrangement of like how you're going to do this, and just like practice it, keep singing it over and over again, and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay. but I was like totally mortified. But yeah, that was my audition process up until the actual audition.
Yeah, overwhelming in a good way, just because you had all these different songs, you had such versatility. I mean, to go from Queen to Shawn Mendes and then this artist from Australia, I feel like you must have felt comfortable knowing that you could do a lot of different things and you could, whatever they threw at you, you could handle.
Yeah, I feel like in a weird way, like my mom kept saying to me, she's like, I think this is a test. Like they're testing you. Just
Yeah.
like do it. Like you're gonna be fine. And I was like, okay, like, and I ended up obviously like doing it and getting a golden ticket, but it was the weirdest like actual process of being at the auditions because you're there for like 5 days. It was at Hotel One, and there's like a day called day zero, then day one, and my audition was day two. So there was a whole day of auditions before me, and there was like probably 35 people, like almost 40 people that went the day before me. And we're sitting down there and we're all watching everyone. We could like see everyone coming out with tickets or not coming out with tickets, and you make friends and you're like, oh my gosh, like they're going in, like what's going to happen? And you're kind of like, at least for me, I was like, I wanted everyone to do well. I know how bad everyone wants it. And it was kind of like a cool, like family type of feeling. I felt very supported. And it was like crazy. So I'm sitting there from 10 o'clock in the morning till 9 p.m. watching people come in and out, and knowing that like I was the first on the lineup to go the next day, like, and I knew the lineup, and I was like, oh my god, like it was crazy. And you could see people like going out crying because of happiness, like crying because of joy, and I was like, what is happening? And like that day, out of like the 40 people, I think it was like 14 people got a golden ticket. Like it was like nobody was getting the ticket, and everyone was like, the judges were really rough on us, like they were really tough, like Katy Perry like didn't like anybody, like, and it was just like all these like rumors were like spreading, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I'm to go tomorrow, like freaking out. And I woke up the next day already knowing like I had my song lyrics for Holy like written on my wrist. I'm like, I don't remember them. Just like had them all written during my audition. And then I kept like looking down at it and I was like, I'm just not remembering the lyrics. Like I was freaking out and I was like first to go. So they like brought me upstairs and they're like, Jenna, like it's your time. Like luckily my mom was able to be there with me like the whole time. I probably would have freaked out if I didn't do it by myself. But I like got brought upstairs by the producers. At this time it was probably like 8 a.m. And they're like, okay, we're like, you're get ready. And then I sat there for 3 hours because the judges didn't get there till like 11:30. And I was like watching all of them come in, like through like they were like filming and I could see like the judges coming in. And I saw like Lionel get out of the car, like I saw Luke, and I was just like looking at them like through the window, like, oh gosh. And then I'm like, where's Katy Perry? And I was like, that's so weird. Like she's not here. And like as I said that, I turn around and she's like walking, like just like strut walking, like through
Wow.
the hallway. And I
Are
was
they
like,
filming this or is this just like them arriving before cameras are on them?
them arriving like before any cameras were
Oh,
like
okay.
on.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like that's Katy Perry, like that's crazy. And she was like right behind me. And I don't know why. I feel like seeing them all kind of got away like that, like kind of like nervous, like
Yeah.
starstruck thing. So I was like, I wasn't so scared. And I think it's such a weird concept, like going in and meeting like crazy A-lister celebrities and then being like, okay, now I'm going to sing and try my best and hopefully you like it. Like, I think it's a crazy concept. So I think seeing them like kind of helped me. Like I saw them previously. So I was like, okay, the nerves were kind of getting a little better. And then I was taken out to talk to Ryan Seacrest, and he's like the coolest ever. And we were just like talking, and he was so nice, and it was very like welcoming, and it was a cool feeling. And then I was done talking to Ryan. I sat on this bench, like right outside the audition room, and literally the producer, one of the producers, like picked me up. They're like, "Okay, go!" Like literally was like opened up the door, like gave me a 2-second warning, and like threw me in there. And I was like, good morning. Like I was like, I was the first person to go. So I was like, oh shoot.
Wow.
And then yeah, it was crazy. But that was kind of the whole anxiety before, which I feel like a lot of people definitely felt, which is like, yeah, kind of insane.
I've yet to talk to somebody who's been the first of the day. I can't imagine what it would have been like to be the first contestant of day one. At least you were day two, but
Yeah.
you had heard all those rumors, which you are certainly not the first contestant to say that LA had a rough day one. So I gotta imagine those nerves they're building up despite the kind of starstruck level going down. You're still thinking about the fact that maybe they're gonna be a little tougher this year. You probably didn't know what
Yeah.
to expect.
Yeah. I had no idea. And for me, like, because I've looked up to Katy Perry so much, like growing up, and I loved her, like I've been to a bunch of her concerts. Like, I'm like, if Katy Perry hates me, like, that's it. Like,
Yeah.
she doesn't like me. I'm like, it's all right. Like, I don't need to sing. Like, I'm just kidding. But like, I was like, I'm gonna be so sad. Like, she's the coolest. So like, I'm just hoping she like kind of rocks with what I do. Like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be pretty sad if she doesn't. So yeah, definitely.
Well, let's talk about the vibe in the room then. You walk right in there. You're the first of the day. Are they peppy? Are they ready to go? Are they tired?
Um, they seemed pretty peppy. I mean, the person that was really talking to me the most, it was really Katie and Luke.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you know, there's like the one judge that'll be like asking the questions at the beginning of the audition.
Right.
So I think Luke had like my questions and he was asking me everything. But I was talking to Katie a lot, like in between talking to Luke, and Lionel was pretty quiet at the beginning. And then, yeah, so I walked in, I was like, good morning. They were all like, good morning. Because I said it like super loud because I was just like, I don't know. I was like nervous and I didn't know what was going on. I was like, okay. I was like, how are you guys? Like, what's going on? They're like, we're good. And I like didn't even know. I'm like, honestly, like it could be the afternoon right now. Like, I don't even know. And they're like, Luke was like, it's not the afternoon till you say it's the afternoon. And like country accent. And I'm like, okay, then good morning. And they got all excited. Like, yeah, good morning.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then they were just asking me like, you know, where I'm from, stuff like that, and just kind of getting to know me. And I was like, yeah, like I'm 17, and kind of just was explaining just basic questions about me. And I had like chrome gold nails that like matched, they look like they literally match like the golden ticket. And I was like, yeah, I'm manifesting, like look at this, like I was like as a joke. And Katie was like, you're woman festing. And I was like, period. Okay. I was like, go off. And so we were like talking about, you know, hobbies that I like. I love art and stuff. So like art, doing hair. And Katie was like, I love that. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm really into fashion. Like I love clothes and like making clothes and all that stuff. And Katy Perry was like, oh, like I love all that. Like as if you didn't know. Like,
yeah.
And I was like, yeah. So they asked me what I was singing, and I said I was singing Holy by Justin Bieber. And then I kind of just went into it. And then I stopped singing. It was completely silent. And they were all like kind of looking at me really weird, like kind of like just weird. And then Katie like whispered something to Lionel. She was like, I think you could sing it in like a higher key. And I was like, okay. So I looked at the piano player and I was like, all right, like, let's go. So I started singing in the higher key, and then they like cut me off like midway through the song. They were like, that was so much better. I feel that was like really good, like better on your voice. And I was like, yeah. And then first one to talk was Lionel. And he was like, I think you have so much soul. You have a really good tone in your voice. You look like you've been performing for a long time. Like, have you been performing? And I'm like, yeah, I've been like singing like out places since I was like 13 or 14 years old. He was like, oh my gosh, when I was 13 or 14, I was like eating pudding on a couch. Like, not me. I was like, yeah, I just always like loved it. And he was like, it's gonna be a yes for me. And then Luke was like, I think she's our little shining star this season. He's like, I haven't said that to anybody all season, in his country accent, which I like love. It's so fun.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh. He's like, I think you're the full package. You have the look, you have the voice. Like, I think you could go like really far, and I think you could be really, really good. And it was very positive from him. And then Katy Perry was like sitting in the middle, and she was just like looking at me like this. She was like, and like clicking her nails. And I was like, I was mortified. I'm like, okay, I have 2 yeses. Like, I know I'm going through, but like,
she's also like Katy Perry.
And like, whatever, I'll just leave. It's fine. So she was like looking at me like, just like observing me. And I was so scared because apparently like she was really rough the day before and like wasn't giving anyone really super positive feedback. So I was like, okay. She looked at me and she was like, so there's 3 boxes that I like to check off when I know I'm seeing a superstar. I was like, okay, let me know. Like, what are the boxes? She was like, I like you have to have the look, you have to like be the artist, and you have to have a crap ton of talent. And I was like, okay. And she would like every like in between everything that she would say was like kind of silent. She'd be like kind of like looking at me like
Yeah.
funny. And I was like, she's like, I think you have all of those things, and I think you're so much fun to watch. And she was like, you are exactly what I've been looking for all season, and like said that to me. And I was like what? And I was just like, she said that to me, and I was like, there's like no way. I was just like freaking out. And she was like I've been looking for exactly what you are like this whole time. And I was like, crazy. And it was so like positive and so cool. And then my mom came running in, like right, like they sent my mom running in the door, some producer outside. She's like, did she make it? And Katy Perry's like, she's going to Hollywood. And they all stood up and they're like, you're going to Hollywood. And it was so cute. And like my mom like ran up to me and was like giving me the biggest hug. And it was like the coolest experience ever. And then Katy was like, Jenna, I want you to do the judges' faces on your nails when you come to Hollywood Week. And I was like, I got you. And I was aired a little bit, and that was the only thing I really aired for. So during genre round, on my Instagram, I have like little clips and stuff, and they showed me with the faces,
Yeah.
and then they showed me going through. But yeah, it was really funny. And Katy Perry was like freaking out. She's like, oh my God. And I was like, they took me so long to do, but I was like, Katy Perry asked me to draw faces on my nails. Like,
right. If she asks, then she receives. Yeah.
Gotta do it. So it was cool. But yeah, I remember like saying to the judges too, they were like, how, you don't seem like too nervous. And I was like, honestly, like we're all just like people, and you guys understand exactly like how I'm feeling right now. Like you've been in my shoes, and to be able to, get to where you are is exactly what I want to do. So it's like, you guys get it. And I feel like it's kind of comforting knowing that you guys like understand that. And they like really liked that I had explained it like that. I was like, okay. But I feel like that's a kind of a comforting feeling as an artist, knowing like it's, they understand exactly like what you're going through and exactly how that feels. They've been in that position of having people judge them in a room and hoping that a record label, like, likes them enough to sign them. And like, they get that. So I feel like that's a really comforting thing for sure.
So is it safe to say that you prefer artists on the panel as opposed to the old ways of Simon Cowell or Randy Jackson, the A&R people? Do you like having artists judging you?
I definitely feel like that is something that's super comforting. And I feel like they just know the music. They understand like so much more, than a person in an A&R really would, like feeling that like nervous feeling. They've never felt that.
Yeah.
Having to go on stage and being like, oh crap, like singing in front of 500 people right now, like better pull it together and not be nervous. So I feel like a lot of people kind of just look at them like, oh my gosh, like they're way cooler than me, which is totally true. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's like, I feel like for me, it was very comforting. And I tend to look at, like celebrity is kind of like, okay, there's just people that were just like me that ended up living the dream, and I think that that's a really cool way to like look at it.
As far as the fact that you're on a TV show and not just, you're obviously pursuing your musical dreams, but being on television and everything that comes with being on TV, doing your interviews and B-roll and having America get to know you, even though you didn't get aired, did you enjoy the filming process of all the other things?
Yeah, I feel like for me, growing up, I was such a talker. I loved, like, I could just talk to people for hours, and I've always had a pretty open personality. So for me, the interviews and everything, it was pretty easy for me to kind of just talk and be me and kind of let that out. Whereas if like, I feel like for people that are more like introverted or shy, it's probably more difficult. But luckily for me, I've kind of always put myself out there, and that was pretty easy for me. It's definitely weird having cameras on you though, and having to act like there's no cameras on you. Because usually I'm like out here making TikToks or like taking pictures of myself, and like I know like there's a camera there, but you can't like act like there's a camera there. So that was kind of weird for me, and not being used to that. There was like during my audition, I got mic'd up with my mom, and we had to sit on a couch and like kind of just talk about things. And I was like, yeah, like I had to like, I just had to like have a normal conversation while there was like a huge camera, like just right in my face. And I was like, so mom, like, do you like that coffee you had this morning? Like, it was just kind of weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I always find it interesting. I mean, even if it is easier for you, being more extroverted, I feel like over the years, with these competition shows, even contestants who are introverted kind of find a way to make it work. Like even Noah, who won this season, the fact that he came into it not assuming anything, I feel like the people at home kind of relate to it because a lot of
Mhm.
viewers think to themselves, I could never like just casually have all these lights and cameras around me and just like be all bubbly. And even
Yeah.
there's this guy this season, I don't know if you remember, his name was Aaron Westbury, but he was like I work in the grocery store, I work in produce, I'm on American Idol, but like it was
Yeah.
cool because he was just himself. He wasn't trying to be all flashy.
Yeah. We like bonded so much during
Yeah.
Hollywood Week. I have so many stories with Aaron. He's hilarious. Um, but yeah, I don't know. During Hollywood Week, we're sitting there and it's the pop genre. I don't know if you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, but like they would have like the genre, the pop genre, and like we would all kind of be out there and filming and stuff. So I was sitting right next to Aaron, and Aaron's sitting there watching football on his phone.
Yeah.
And I like not talking to a damn soul, was just sitting there like in this little like this thing, look
Yeah.
face down watching football. And I'd like poke him. And I'm like, are you watching football at American Idol right now? Like you're on American Idol and you're watching football. And he's like, yeah, like watching football. I was like,
Yeah.
you wanna like talk to me right now? And it was funny. I would just kind of mess with him. He was like, okay. So then we like became like friends during Hollywood Week, and he was so funny because we both made it to Showstoppers, and then
Yeah.
we got cut at the Green Mile. But he was he was just funny. Like first round, he was in my line of people that I would go and stand with, and he sang the song during genre round, and literally, like usually you stand there, you say thank you or whatever. Sang the song, ran off stage, and just ran. Like was like, okay, that's it. That's all I have to be there. Like I've never seen someone run off stage, and there was like, it wasn't like he felt sick or there was anything wrong. He was just like ran, and was just like, okay, that's it. And I thought he was so funny. And then during Showstoppers, we were like talking, and he was like, literally 5 minutes before we had to like turn in what song we wanted to sing for Showstoppers, he was like, yeah, like I don't really know what to sing. It's like, should I sing like still, like One Direction? And I was like, you don't know, like you didn't think about it. He's like, no. It was like going through his iTunes playlist, and I was like sitting there laughing. I was like, you're crazy. Like if I were you, I'd be freaking out right now. And he's like, yeah, whatever. And he was so chill about it, which was kind of like comforting because I was like, okay, if he's so cool about it, like I don't need to be so like crazy.
It's refreshing.
And then I ended up singing like "Still My Girl," and I don't know. They like had a bunch of interviews. I think that like people like the producers like saw us talking a lot, and he like wouldn't talk to really like anybody. So when I would go talk to him, I just kind of brought him out of his shell, and we would like get mic'd up, and they would like do interviews of just me and Aaron talking, and they aired like a few seconds of them during the like actual show. I was like laughing, and they had a whole interview, and I was like, yeah, I got up at 4 a.m. this morning. He's like, why'd you get up at 4 a.m.? And I was like, I had to do my hair and makeup. Like, what'd you do? And he's like, I woke up like 5 minutes before, Like, I didn't put anything in there. I was like, all right.
Oh my
Like,
God.
fair. He was just so funny. And then I taught him how to do this mic trick. He was practicing holding like the mic with a tree branch that he found in like the holding room. And I was like, okay, you have to do this mic trick, and you like flip it down and kick it back up. And they were like filming the whole thing. And I'm like, Aaron, I'm like, sing Steal Your Girl, I'm your girl. Don't let anybody steal me. And he was like looking at me like mortified.
Oh my God.
And then yeah, it was just funny. And then I went into his rehearsal. They brought me in so that I could watch his rehearsal. There was a camera on me the whole time. And I'm like, he's not doing the mic trick. He hasn't done it once. And I'm like, he's singing it. He's got to sing it like, you got to sing it like he just want people to steal me. I'm like, he would just let me go. Like it would be, he would just let me go. He doesn't care.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
He doesn't like, he's not trying to be funny at all. And
Yeah.
he's just so funny. He was right behind me or in front of me when we both like the mile 20 or the 24 thing.
Yeah.
Green, I don't know what it's called. And he was like, we had been there all day, and he went before me and didn't go through to top 24, and then I didn't go through, and we were both on the bus together on the way back, and we were just like sitting there like looking at each other, and he like was putting like bags on his head, and I was like, what? Like I'm sitting there like a mess, like makeup just like all over my face. And I'm
Right.
like, Aaron, and he's like, it's okay, man. And he was like telling me about some girls that he like was talking to, and he's like, yeah, she was cool, but like whatever. And I'm like, do you realize like how sad this is right now? And he was just like, he dapped me up. That was the last time I saw Aaron. It
Oh my God.
was great.
That's awesome. Well, anyway, any other kind of cool memories that you made just before you went? Because I imagine that there's all kinds of filming going on after you get your ticket. You're doing interviews, but before that, day one, I'm sure you had a lot of time to talk to people.
Yeah. So actually the people that I made really good friends with during auditions never got aired, and either got cut during that round or got cut at like first round of Hollywood Week. Besides Nicolina.
Mm.
Nicolina, I talked to a lot, and she was like, I was the first one to go. We were all sitting down in the lobby, and she'd gone the day before, and she was kind of telling me, oh, like I sang She Used to Be Mine, and we were talking, and she was like, she had her golden ticket like in her hand, because everyone was kind of holding it. I'm like, yeah, by the way, like got one of those. Like,
Yeah.
so it was just kind of like the flex, like when you get out, you just kind of hold it around. And she was like, do you want to touch it? And I was like, no. I was like, I don't want to look at it for too long. It's going to freak me out. She's like, you should touch it. And I was like, okay.
Mm.
So she was the first Nicolina's golden ticket was the first golden ticket I ever touched.
Wow.
And yeah, she was really like helpful and was like, just like, they're super nice, like whatever. So yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, you met so many more people when you got to Hollywood, and that's exciting because the Orpheum's a beautiful venue, and there's a lot that goes into the filming process before you even get there. So, what was your experience like at the beginning of Hollywood Week?
So I had arrived at the hotel. My mom was able to be with me because I had just turned 18. So it was 18 and under that are allowed to bring like a parent, which was really helpful because she helped me a lot with like the stress. And actually one of my friends, I didn't even know she was trying out. We had grown up singing together at Steamy, Carly McKeel, and she was aired.
Mm-hmm.
She's the little dog groomer.
Yeah.
And grown up, like I had been singing with her since I was like 13 at like sports bars and this place called the Birdie Bar that we used to sing. It was like this golf course, and she was probably 5 or 6 years older than I was, but I just like loved her and thought she was so cool. So I had been like, oh my gosh, like she's here, like that's crazy. So I had been hanging out with her a lot at the beginning of Hollywood Week, and we were really, really just like by each other's side the whole time. And she made it to Showstoppers like me, and then she got eliminated. But it was really cool kind of having that like little pieces of home there. I had my mom, and I had Carly, and it just felt like, okay, this is just like bring it back to when I was singing at a golf course, like whatever. It's fun. And it's really cool. You wake up really early though, and you have really long days, and it is
Yeah.
super tiring. But like going in, and I was on the first day of auditions and like the second line or something like that. It was like crazy. I have a bunch of my stuff still like saved. I have my like golden ticket over there.
Yeah.
But I was on the second day for like genre round, or the first day for genre round, like the second line. And so I was like really nervous about that. Genre round, I feel like I was the most scared for, just because you're on this huge stage and you're like, I'm here all by myself in front of crazy talented people, and then you're singing in front of 170 contestants. Like I was like, oh boy. And you're just kind of watching everyone else sing, and you're like, wow, everyone is actually crazy exceptionally good. Like this is really insane. So I was definitely really nervous for that round, and I sang Life of the Party by Shawn Mendes, and they ended up really liking it, and they had sent me through, which was really cool. But yeah, that was round one. And then duet round, I got paired with Valerie Marie, and she also never got aired. She's from Florida, and she wears like Crocs, and I'm like from LA, and we just were so funny together. Like we did not have like really any of the same style. Like I was always in like flashy clothes and just fun stuff because I love fashion, and she would be in like Crocs and like a bucket hat, and like it was just funny. So we ended up bonding so well and getting along so well. She's a year younger than I am, and we sang Locked Out of Heaven, and they like loved it, and it was really great, and we both ended up going through. And then there was like a 2-day gap period, and I went home and visited some of my friends like on my one day off that I had, because I was so close to home. And I was like, okay, Showstoppers tomorrow, like, oh gosh. And then we realized that you could like get tickets online to be in the audience. So a bunch of my friends went and got tickets to watch me during Showstoppers, and like my family and stuff.
Wow.
And it was so cool, like looking out during Showstoppers in the audience and seeing like my family and friends. They were like screaming so loud. And I sang One Republic, Love Runs Out. And people were like screaming so loud that they like didn't hear me introduce my name. So like someone that was there like got all of our names and like all the songs that we'd sang and like leaked it out. They're like, female singer saying Love Runs Out. We couldn't get your name, like, because everyone was like yelling so loud, which was just cool, like having that like support system. So that was kind of my Hollywood week experience, which was really fun.
So, given that rundown that you just gave, did you have a favorite of the three, do you think, of the performances?
I really love Duet Round, but I feel like Showstopper for me, I felt the most comfortable on stage, and I felt really like happy with my performance.
Uh-huh. So you thrive off of an audience and having that room full of even more people.
Yeah, I've been growing up like, in choir, singing in front of like a bunch of people, and I feel like for me, it's less of just like three judges staring at you and an audience of a bunch of super talented people, and it was more just like kind of what I'm used to, like a talent show type of thing. So I was really a lot more comfortable with that situation than I was the first 2 rounds, for sure.
Yeah, I like that format because it allows you guys to feel like you would be in your normal element. I mean, and for some contestants, if they haven't performed at many gigs, it might put them at a disadvantage. But most of you guys are used to gigging, are used to performing and having that crowd in front of you. And then the judges, which I don't know if it's like, having them in that booth? Is it just you're able to kind of forget about them, or is it noticeable that and distracting that they're up there?
Like I knew that they were there, but for me, when I started singing, I kind of just go into my own zone,
right,
and a zone out like everything else,
uh-huh.
which is really good. I think that's like a cool thing that I like am able to do that a lot of musicians can do, just kind of lose themselves like in the music. For me, I knew that they were there, and I tried to make eye contact or sing to them a little bit, but I was more focused on giving my like best performance, and walking around and trying to engage like audience members and pointing out people and kind of just doing my thing like how I would if I was at a talent show.
Yeah. And I bet that's what the judges want, is for you to not be so conscious of their presence, to not be constantly looking up at them, trying to impress them. It's about trying to impress that crowd, because they wouldn't have brought in all these people if that wasn't the specific goal of this round.
Yeah, exactly. So I was very like, I walked out on stage and I was like, you guys ready? Like, how's the night been going? And I was like kind of talking to them, and I was like, thumbs up, like, it's been good. And they were all like excited and cheering. And I was like, all right, like I introduced myself, and I'm like, I'm gonna sing Love Runs Out by One Republic, and you guys like it? And I was kind of like, sing with me, like sing along. Like I'd like Love Runs Out, and I'd be like, sing along, and then they'd like kind of sing with me, and it was fun, kind of getting the crowd like engaged, and yeah.
Are you doing like a full like 3-ish minute performance, or are they just having you do like a verse and a chorus?
It was about a minute and a half for me.
Okay.
I sang a full verse, a chorus, and a bridge.
Uh-huh.
And then that was about all I sang. But my family and friends over there, they were like, oh my gosh, I don't remember anything that happens. Like I just blacked out. Like you started singing and I was like nervous for you and I blacked out.
Yeah.
It was really funny. I had a boyfriend there, and he was like, Jenna, like before you got on stage, like literally we all knew that you were like next to go because we could see you backstage. He's like, I actually was like nauseous. Like everyone was freaking out for me, which I was like, guys, like have some faith. Like I'll be fine.
Yeah, they're more scared than you are.
I know. I was like, okay. And I was definitely nervous, but I feel like, going out there, it's kind of just what I like to do and what I've been doing for a while. So I was like, it's not like I have to do a speech right now, which I would be way more scared to do that than to sing,
Right. What's the setup like backstage? Because unlike the other rounds where you've got all the other singers watching and reacting, we don't see the competition.
Yeah. So during that round, they basically brought you in. There was like a little holding room that was like the back, like one of the doors, like outside the theater. And that's where we were all held. And they would bring you in by like lines of 10.
Hmm.
And you'd kind of wait on the side of the theater. And then it was like a group of like 2 or 3 that would go in to like backstage at a time. So it was like, it was kind of just you get in your own headspace. I had Carly McKeel. She went right before me. She sang My Church. Absolutely killed it. I was like, girl, let's go. And it was nice that I had her literally like right there before me. And then Sir Blake sang after me. So I was like backstage, like holding Sir Blake's hand. We were like, okay. And he was like, we were just like, just praying and stuff and trying to get in the element. And he was like, you got this. Like, you could feel my hands. And I was like shaking, freaking out. And then I went on stage and I ended up doing fine. And I felt like I did really well. So it was cool. But having that like support system, and I feel like all the contestants we were like a family. You think that like, because it's a show that is a competition show, that it wouldn't be like a welcoming feeling, which I was very nervous of, but everyone was so nice and so welcoming. And we all just wanted like each other to succeed. And it was really cool.
I've heard so many stories about how like supportive is an understatement when it comes to how Sir Blake was with you guys. Like he was just rooting for everybody, and all of you guys were, but he in particular, I just have like heard so many things about that guy.
Yeah, he was the best. And he like brought me to tears. He sang Cyndi Lauper, what was it? True Colors for
Oh
his
yeah.
round. And I was like crying. I love that song. He's just so beyond talented, and just his energy was so positive. And
Yeah.
I seriously think having him backstage with me before those moments of me going on, it was so helpful. Like
Hmm.
his energy is just like, okay, like it's all good. Like, he was the best. So,
Uh-huh.
so cool.
By the way, who is in your, I know it's back a couple of rounds, but who is in your genre line for pop?
I had the singing babysitter, Delaney, Erin. I had Allegra. Allegra and I were next to each other. Erin was on the end. She was pregnant. What was her name? Haley.
Hmm.
Haley was in my line. Sam. Oh, and then I had Sela Bruce.
Uh-huh.
She's amazing. She wasn't aired either. And I thought she absolutely killed it. And standing up there, and Katy Perry was like, Allegra and Jenna, like, you both need to open your mouths more when you sing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting kicked off. Like, I'm getting kicked off. And I was like, that sucks. Like, shoot. I was freaking out, but I thought Allegra was incredible. So they like were like, okay, front line, like, if we're gonna call you and when you
Yeah.
stand up. They were like, the first 2 names were Allegra and I was like, oh, I'm going through because I'm in the line with Allegra. Like, we'll
Right.
be
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I like had a boost of confidence. Like, they're not gonna
Right.
kick her off. She's incredible. And she's another person that has the best energy. And I became friends with her, and she was so cool and just so beyond sweet. And just so talented, so naturally just flowed out of her mouth. I was like, how the heck do you do that? They called us out and they called Erin out. And I think my line, only like 3 or 4 people ended up going through. But I just remember literally being like, what? Like, cause
Yeah.
gosh, like everyone is so talented. And you're like, how could they kick her off? And I remember watching Delaney, and she was like, I think she sang Ain't No Way by
Hmm.
Aretha Franklin. And I was like, oh my gosh, that girl has pipes, sang it flawlessly. And then she didn't make it through.
Ain't no way they sent her home. Like seriously. I
Ain't no
mean,
way. I was like,
yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, how? And it was just like, I think as I kept going, I was like, why me? Like, I don't know. The people that are going to kick us off, like, I was crazy, like, did not understand. I watched Cole during duet rounds, and I thought he was exceptional. I thought he was so talented. And they sent him home, and I was
That was a
like,
shocker.
what? Like, no, I was just like, there's no way right now. Like, I seriously thought he was going to, like, win. Like, I thought he was so talented.
And you guys, you met Jordin Sparks before too, right? With the mentoring.
Yeah, so I got to talk to her, and she is so cool. I got a picture with her and Emerson Flora that I also became friends with during Hollywood Week. And yeah, she is a doll. Literally is like the most flawless human ever, and her smile is like the most like just contagious thing. But she is so sweet, and she was so nice to everybody, and took time to talk to everybody, and was just so kind. And I loved her, and it was just so cool to have her there because I watched her win.
Yeah.
So it was like crazy being like little and watching her and being like, whoa, oh my gosh, she started exactly where I am right now. It was really cool.
Any one piece of advice or anything you remember from talking to her?
She just told me to be me and do what I do and don't listen to anybody else. You
Yeah,
know,
crucial.
listen to the advice that judges give you and people give you, but at the end of the day, like, this is what you want to be and the artist that you want to be. So portray that on stage. And I feel like I really ran with that, and it was cool.
We kind of rewinded for a moment, and then obviously genre challenge, you get through that, and just getting through genre challenge, which is like a 50-50 cut, and then to get to duet rounds where the pressure has gone up, obviously, but probably staying up all night rehearsing, that's got to be, just like you see on TV, very intense.
Yeah. Luckily for me, I had a weave in. I had all my hair. My hair is pretty short. It's like here and it's black. And I had like these long extensions in this dress and these high boots that were god awfully uncomfortable. And I got in the bus, and Valerie was 17 and she wasn't allowed to be filmed after 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, oh my gosh, no one's going to see me look terrible right now. Like, this is great. I like put my hair in like a sloppy bun, was in like a glitter dress until like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then we woke up early and practiced again. But we had a really good bond, and we were just worked together very well and kind of just got everything done. We're like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
you harmonize here, we'll be soft here. And it was so simple, and it was just so easy with her. And I'm so grateful that I had her, because that could have been a seriously way different outcome if I didn't. So, yeah.
And it sounds like, as you mentioned earlier, the performance went really well. And you made it to
Yeah.
Showstoppers, and we talked about Showstoppers. So I do want to talk about the last thing that you filmed, which was the Green Mile, where you found out whether or not you would be making it to the top 24. And if I'm correct, that was filmed a little while after the Showstopper performances.
It was like 2 days after the showstopper. And I was like, okay, I feel like I really gave a good performance, and I'm hoping that they saw that and agree with that. But at the end of the day, I don't regret anything. And so I went in with like a very positive, I was just really hoping that they felt like that was, the best I could do, and that it was good enough to push me through. So we're sitting in there, and Ryan Seacrest is just sitting, like, watching people come in and out and talking to people. And basically they gave us the lineup, and they're like, there's going to be sing-offs today. And I did not get called for anything until like the very end. And they're like, okay, Valerie and Jenna, you're going in the room together. And that was my duet partner.
Ooh.
So I was like, oh my gosh. And we both kind of just look at each other like, if we have to do a sing-off right now, like, we were both just freaking out, and we both were crying, and it was this whole thing. And we didn't end up going into the green, like, mile room with the judges until like 5:45, and we'd been there since 8 a.m. So we were like the last two people to go besides Hunter Girl. Hunter Girl was like literally the last one to go. So it was crazy. And in my mind, you're watching people come out like, okay, I made it through. And at the point that we were at, there was like two or three, I think there was three more like spots open. And I'd been like counting. I'm like, okay, there's been like 14 people. There's like this many spots left. Like, I was doing the calculation in my brain. We're all just trying to figure out like what's going on. Obviously, I was like, I had Jacob Moran that was like right behind me, and then Hunter Girl, and she was the last one to go. And I'm like, they're both gonna go through. So I was like, shoot. And at this point, we had three, and then the people that went right before me were Sage and Danielle. And so I was like, shoot. And they both come out, and they're like, we both are going through. And I was like, oh, like, I'm screwed. I'm like, I don't know what this plan was. Like, Jacob's amazing. And Hunter Girl, platinum ticket winner, I was like, there's no way. Like, there's just no way. So we go in there, I'm like holding hands with Valerie, and they sat us down, and they, Lionel was talking to Valerie about like the reasons why she didn't go through, and started off like talking to Valerie and was like, you're so young. You didn't do anything wrong. It's just like at the end of the day, like the competition. And was talking to her like, and was like, unfortunately, like, you're not going to be going through. So I still had a little bit of hope here. And then Lionel was like, Jenna, with the competition, and you're young and you didn't do anything wrong. Like, unfortunately, we're just not sending you through today. And like, didn't give us like really any like closure, which was really hard for me because I was like, oh my gosh, like, I really like didn't like I just didn't know what I could like have improved on. So it was hard for me. And Lionel was like, we really want you to come back though, Jenna. Like, come back, or we want you and Valerie. I don't really remember. I kind of blacked out that room.
Yeah.
They were like, we want you guys to come back. Like, come back though. And Katy Perry was like, yeah, if they're not already famous. She was like that. And then cameras kind of went off and we were hugging the judges, and Katy Perry had like tears in her eyes. She was like, I fought so hard for you. And she was like, I love you. You're so talented. Like, don't give up. Like, she was like, I fought so hard for you. And I'd like sitting there, like trying to hold back tears. So I was like, oh, and I could just tell like she was like one of my biggest like supporters the whole time out of the judges. And I really felt the love and the, you know, positivity from her. And it was so greatly appreciated because she's been such an inspiration for me growing up. So having her say that, I was like, at least Katy believed in me. Like, let's go. It was great. But yeah, Lionel like grabbed me and he was like, you have it, kid. He's like, you have it in you. Like, you're so talented. He's like, you better come back. Like, I want you to come back. And Katy was like, yeah, she's going to be famous. Like, she didn't need it. She's going to be famous. And she was like sassing him. It was really funny. And then I had left and it was very just, you did nothing wrong. We're not sending you through. And I was just like, I think they were also probably in a rush and tired. But I was like, damn, like, I don't know. Like, it was just rough. I was like, I feel like I just got broken up with. And they're like, you seriously are the best. But we just don't want you here anymore. Like, I was like, how the heck am I supposed to ever like understand like what that is? Like, I just felt like there was no closure. I just left a breakup and was like, ow, why doesn't he love me? But he loved me, but like, I guess he didn't though, like enough.
Right.
It was
Oh
confusing.
God. It's so emotionally exhausting. It is an amazing accomplishment to have made it that far, and to be
Yeah.
considered for the top 24, because at that point, to even have the option of knowing that you could have gone to America's Vote, while it's devastating, it's also a mark of how talented you are.
Yeah, it was, I mean, I did not even expect it to make it past the audition.
Yeah.
And to make it as far as I did, which was like the top 50, and, you know, having Katy Perry look at me in the face and tell me like, I fought really hard for you, it made me feel like I was really close, you know, like I was right there. And, it was definitely heartbreaking because I really came in with high hopes, going into the Green Mile. But I think, you know, having them say what they did, and it was so motivating, and I felt really good, you know, leaving that and feeling like I didn't leave or regret anything, you know, that I put on that stage. So it was cool.
Well, what is it like after you leave filming? Because before you even find out whether or not you're going to get aired, there's obviously quite a large amount of time before the show even premieres. So what's it like to sort of have to be hyping up the show on social, but you also know that you didn't make it past the Green Mile? What does that feel like just mentally?
It was difficult because I was devastated. And I was like, I would have to post, you know, pictures during Showstoppers and being like, guess what? Like, I made a Showstoppers. See if I make it to the Green Mile. And I'm like sitting there like, see if I make it to the Green Mile, like wiping tears.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
You know, like,
yeah.
I was like, shoot. But it was just such a fun and humbling experience, like being around some talented people. And you know, the show had so like that top 24 was seriously like some of the best top 24 I've ever seen. And everyone was so talented, and you know, it is what it is. And if, you know, I've been asked to come back to next season, and I am highly considering doing so. So, you know, if it ends up working out, it ends up working out. It was so much fun, and I learned so much, you know, so many amazing things, and got to sing and, you know, further kind of make me into the artist that I am. And I thought it was a really cool experience, and we'll see if I come back next year.
You know, there haven't been a lot since the show moved to ABC. There haven't been a lot of people who like come back the next year. They haven't shown as many of them, but I have a feeling that with this particular season that has just generated way more buzz than usual, it would not surprise me if next year it's like, oh, remember this person from last year and this person? Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows, man? And like, I think it was because I was like literally not shown at all.
Yeah.
So it's not like I had an audition. Like, I was shown for a matter of 10 seconds, and my
Yeah.
name was not even my last name was shown. It was just Jenna.
Hmm.
So I feel like for me, it's like I would literally be like a brand new contestant, like,
Right.
for American Idol, basically, besides the judges just knowing who I am. Um, and, I just feel like it couldn't do me any harm. If anything, it could just do me good. And either, if I don't make it again past, that Green Mile, or if I get cut earlier or don't make it past, anything else, I'll still have that experience and it'll still be really fun to do. So,
So if, because we're not confirming anything, this is not an exclusive, but if you go back,
yeah.
is the game plan just go and do what we did because you know who you are as an artist and you know what you bring to the table? Or are we going to spice things up a little and kind of see what we might want to do a little bit differently just to see if that makes a difference?
100% going to be doing things differently and doing things that I want to do. If someone tells me we want to sing Holy by Justin Bieber, I'm going to go, ain't no way. I'm going to sing this song anyways because I want to sing this song. Because I feel
Hmm.
like if I would have really went down the path that I wanted to go down, I feel like I would have had a better chance of getting past that Green Mile because I would have shown like more diversity and shown more of my voice. I love singing ballads and I never was able to really sing any ballads. So I want to audition, if I do audition, with a ballad song and
Hmm.
kind of, I like singing like punk rock. Like I love Alanis Morissette. Like I want to just do everything I love to do and show, all those different sides of me.
Not that it necessarily matters to sort of like fit in with the trends or anything, but punk rock, punk pop very in right now with like what Demi Lovato's about to put out, if you've heard about that, and what we've got with
Yes.
Willow and the rock guitars on Olivia Rodrigo's album. I mean, I think there's something about that. I mean, again, not that it's all about following trends, but just hearing you say punk rock made me think of that.
Yeah, I love all of those people. Like Avril Lavigne, like
Yes.
Alanis Morissette, Olivia Rodrigo with the Brutal and the Good for You. Like it's so exciting, and I've always loved music like that. So I'm like, maybe I'll pull one of those out if I make it to Showstoppers or if I come back, and we'll see. But yeah,
Putting American Idol on the back burner, I'm sure you have a very
yeah.
exciting year coming up, a lot of projects coming out. So tell us about it.
Yeah, so I've been working on a lot of music, just been a lot of doing, going in sessions and writing music and writing my own music and just trying to find songs that I've written that I'm really super in love with. I came out with a single, Second Chances, during like the Idol time, I think around March. And it's like at 10,000 streams on Spotify, which is really exciting. It just recently hit 10,000 streams. So that was really cool for me to see. And I think just, yeah, I've been getting in the studio, kind of trying to, put my thoughts down and find something that I fall in love with again and put it out.
Cool. Well, where can people follow you so that they don't miss anything coming up from you?
My Instagram, my TikTok, I feel like I'm most active on. My username on everything is Jenna Marquis, Jenna with two A's, and then Marquis. And that's Snapchat, TikTok, Facebook, whatever, Twitter. It's what everything is. So
Cool. Well, if you guys like this conversation or this podcast, make sure you follow us on Instagram or TikTok at Idle Unaired Podcast. Wherever you are listening, make sure that you subscribe, rate, leave a review, tell a friend the old-fashioned way. I mean, call them over the phone, send a text. And I don't know if people call over the phone. Send a text or whatever. You can also watch these interviews on YouTube. Just type in American Idol Unaired. Thank you guys so much. And Jenna, thank you so much for being on American Idol Unaired.